Welcome to Progressive Mindset Podcast. My name is Natalie Potts, personal development and business coach, and each week I'll be bringing you an inspiring message or person to help you unlock creating a life full of energy and happiness. And I'm going to be going with a quote today by Michelle Obama, who said that success isn't about how much money you make. It's about the difference you make in people's lives. And this leads me on to another exciting episode with my guest, Karl O'Rourke. So I worked with Karl on a mastermind where I helped support in coaching him with his business setup and starting up School of Fitness. And Karl has done phenomenally well. He is such an inspiring guy. I was a guest on one of his Zoom calls with his clients the other week, and there was over 30 clients, and I rocked up. I was absolutely stunned. Like, not to say that I didn't expect him to be working with so many amazing clients, for sure, but just kind of put me on oh my gosh, made me feel nervous. So yeah, absolutely love working with Karl. The best part about all of the coaching and the work that I do with clients and seeing them progress is the fact that it's just that the network is your net worth is so key. And the fact about that we've built a great relationship. Now, Karl lives over in Ireland. I live in England. We've never met, but we message occasionally. We keep in contact. We've built a relationship. And I always say that business is about building relationships, and you build a business from that. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Karl because he'll share his story better than I could ever do it. But a huge thank you to him because I really enjoyed this episode. He is an amazing guy. So go and check him out. Well, welcome, Karl, and a huge thank you for joining me today. I really value your time, and a huge thank you for this. So really excited to get into this one today. Tell me a little bit about you, your business, and where you've come from with that.
Well, first of all, Natalie, thank you very much for having me on. I'm very grateful to be on. I'm going to talk very slowly because if I start to talk quick, my Irish accent starts to come out and people don't understand what I'm saying. So I'm gonna try to slow down today. But yeah, so my name's Karl. Obviously I'm from Ireland, just outside of Dublin, and I run an online program called the School of Fitness. Now, what the School of Fitness is about is basically we focus on kind of stay-at-home mums who are quite overwhelmed and don't really have time to work out, and we create the time for them to work out and just try to add value to their life. Why I do that, why I, a single male, why I focus on stay-at-home mums is probably because my own mother made a very big impact on my life before she passed away. And so my kind of why for helping stay-at-home mums is from my relationship with my own mother. So that's kind of why I do it. I suppose if we're going to get into how I ended up even in the fitness space, very randomly, because I wasn't very much a quote-unquote fitness person to start off my career. I was doing all sorts of jobs. Like I was milkman, I was a barman, a very poor barman. I'd be the type of person, my first day I was putting ice into the beer and I was doing all sorts of stuff, and people are like, who is this lad? I worked at weddings. I worked as a steel sheet worker. I worked in Mallorca, in Alcudia. I was one of them lads on the street asking me to come in for a free shot, wrecking your head. So I had all these kind of jobs, and I was trying to find my way for a long time before I ended up in the fitness space. But what I didn't do through all them years is I didn't settle. I realized that it wasn't for me. And I was out of a job as quick as I was in it. And it probably knocked my confidence a lot. Because I kept on feeling like I was a failure because I wasn't able to stick at anything. All my friends had these kind of quote unquote successful careers and, you know, big job titles, and I was just going from job to job and didn't really know what I was doing or what I was about. And one day I just sat down and I just, like I said, my mother was a big impact on me, and she said, Karl, don't settle, keep looking for what you want to do. And I'd write down a list of things that I didn't want to do. And the list was a couple of pages long, trust me. And then I wrote down, okay, what do I want to do? Or even better, what would I do that I don't get paid for it, but I'd happily do it? And I wrote down a few things, like I was into football, and then I ended up deciding that, okay, I want to be a football coach. And then I went and did a course. And from there, one of the modules was gym instruction. So I was never in a gym in my life, skinny little thing going around, not a bit of muscle on me. But I got into the gym as just kind of a class module from trying to be a soccer coach. And through that, I kind of started to enjoy it. I said, I'll give this a bit more attention. And from there, I ended up doing a personal training course in the college that I was doing. And then from there, I ended up getting a job in a gym, and it kind of just escalated from there. I started taking classes. I started doing one-to-one personal training with people, and I just started to get a real buzz for helping people and being helpful. And then it was the first time in my life that I stuck at a job more than a year, and I was like, oh my god, I'm a year here. And then it was 2 years and 3 years, and I built up this following of people. I was up to like 160 clients. It was crazy. And it was the first time in my life I actually felt successful. My confidence just shooted up. I was very self-conscious as a young teenager, and then into my 20s as well. Didn't have a lot of self-worth or anything like that. But after I started to kind of really find something that I was passionate about, everything just started escalating. And then from there, I was running boot camps, and I did a couple of years in Ireland, and then I moved to Australia. And from there, I was working with clients as well, and that's when I kind of set up the online stuff, because I wanted to still work with a few of my clients back home. So that's what I was doing. I was working online, and I was learning how to work Excel sheets and stuff that I had no clue on. And then obviously when COVID hit, and we were stuck in Melbourne at the time, we were like, oh shit, the two people that I was living with, they lost their jobs. We couldn't afford the rent. So it was like, right, we better go home. So I flew back to Ireland. I didn't go back to the boot camps or to the gym. I stayed with the online stuff, even from home. And that escalated from there. And that's where School of Fitness ended up kind of evolving from. And from there, we've had School of Fitness running since March now, and it's just gone from height to height, and it's very rewarding, and I'm loving what I'm doing at the moment.
Absolutely amazing. It's great to hear you're so fluent and articulate in how you share your story. I love it. I think there's so much that I just kind of noted down there to pick up on as well. One
Yeah.
being the key thing around, and very much with coaching, is offering value, and
Yeah.
you seem incredibly clear on your message and your why, and that's a big thing. I find even with myself or people that I work with, we always come back to it sometimes at some point, always, is what is their one thing, or what is their why.
Mm.
How did you go about getting really clear on your why? I know you mentioned
Yeah.
about mum and that helping women as such, but how did you become confident that, yeah, I'm 100%, this is for me?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think the first thing to make very clear is that it took a long time before I understood my why, because people would ask me that, and I'd ask myself that for a long time, and be no clearer on to knowing what I wanted to do. And it was probably through tragedy more so than anything that I eventually found my way. So obviously my mum got sick. She had cancer, and she passed away. And it wasn't till a few years after that I realized, okay, who's had the biggest impact on my life? And it was my mother. And I was like, she was a stay-at-home mum. Like, we weren't well off. We weren't on the poverty line, but we definitely weren't well off, and she would literally do anything for her kids. And I was a little shit as a kid. I was always getting in trouble, getting thrown out of school. I was getting arrested. I was a little brat trying to impress all the bigger lads on the estate, because I was quite small. So and my mother always kind of kept me on the straight and narrow, even when it was very hard to do. So she was always kind of there for her kids, and she would always put her kids before herself. And I think that's kind of one of the most admirable things someone can do. But what I kind of learned from looking at my mother all them years, looking after me and my brother and my two sisters, is that because she was so devoted to her children, she didn't really give herself time to look after herself as much. So I always talk about the women on my program as the mothers on my program, as they need to be selfishly unselfish. So what I mean by that is they need to take time to look after themselves. And if my mother was still around today, I would be saying that message to her, that look after yourself first and then look after your kids. And I always use that analogy when you're on a flight, and if the flight is going down, if the plane's going down, who do you put the oxygen mask on first? You put it on yourself, because if you don't look after yourself, you can't look after anyone else. So that's the kind of message I put towards the mothers in my program, is to look after yourself first, take time out for yourself, and then the ripple effect from that, you'll be able to look after everyone else a lot better. And I think my why started to come from after my mother passed, and I was asking, who's the biggest impact on my life? My mother is. Who do I want to help people? What kind of people do I want to help? People like my mother, and that's where it kind of all came from. But it wasn't obvious. It took a long time for me to keep on asking the questions. What do I want to do? What makes me happy? What makes me fulfilled? And eventually it came very clear. But that's after a lot of kind of failed attempts. I won't even call them failed attempts. They were just stepping stones to getting closer to where I wanted to be. And even all them jobs I did, like when I was a milkman and I was in the army and I was, a steel sheet worker and I was working at weddings, and I was really crap at all these jobs. And I was thinking, how come everyone has it figured out and I don't? But it was just I was just figuring out what I didn't want to do. That's all it was. And for anyone who's kind of in work at the moment where they don't feel that kind of fire in their belly from it, you're just on a journey, and you might not be able to connect the dots now, but you will connect them later down the line, that you're just ruling out what you don't want, and your why will appear to you eventually, but you have to keep on searching for that question.
I love all of that. I think it's absolutely key what you're saying there around that sometimes people around you feel have it and you're like, why is it that I don't? And you sometimes put energy and effort into that opposed to actually focusing on yourself.
Yeah.
It's that idea of sowing the seed. And I was working with someone with mentoring a couple of weeks ago, and they were getting very frustrated because their client doesn't seem like they're moving on with their actions. And I said, but in this journey that they're on, you are potentially sowing the seeds. It's not about you, it's about your client and their agenda. But it is also that this moment in time may not feel that they are massively moving forward. However, the experience and the journey they are on means that they get there in 6 months' time opposed to 2 years' time if they weren't going through that experience of yourself. And very much like you say, it's a connection of the dots.
Yeah.
I really you say around, you focused a couple of times you've mentioned around what you didn't want to do, and also that moving out of pain. And on that kind of radar, people are either driven by pleasure or kind of driven out of pain. And you very much seen that you are the latter there, in terms of you said focus on what you don't want to do. And I thought it was really key actually sometimes, because when we're goal orientated, because it's future facing, we always ask people, what do you really want? What is the focus? What is the objective? What is the goal? And sometimes it's more powerful to ask a question that opposes that and just say, what is it you don't want?
Yeah. Process by elimination kind of thing.
Yeah. How much do you use that with your clients yourself?
I think, I think it's really important. I think it's actually it can be an easier way to go about it, especially if you ask the question, what do you want? And if they can't answer that, okay, what do you not want? And we would use it a lot on the program. It's asking them, okay, so you want to lose weight. Why do you want to lose weight? Okay, well, I want to feel more confident. And why do you want to feel more confident? Because I want to be able to walk into a room and, not be worried about people looking at me. So it's about kind of digging deep into why they're starting a program. And sometimes they'll know, sometimes they won't know, but you just have to kind of keep on digging at them and asking them questions. And at times it can be kind of uncomfortable for them because they've never actually asked themselves these questions before. And you kind of have to keep on pushing. And you might not get it the first day. It might be, weeks and months of asking these questions. But you have to continue to keep asking them questions, and eventually you'll find the answer. But it's not something that can come to you straight away. It's something that you have to keep digging at, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have an amazing infectious energy about yourself. but you still have to, with anybody, build that know, like, and trust factor, and
Yeah,
build rapport with people. I think most people, they don't, they miss that part about building relationship, getting into conversations, and
mm,
genuinely, like you say, offering value and service back to people, opposed to just maybe thinking about what, like, the clients they want and where they want their business to be, and just
yeah,
the moment and focusing on how you can really offer true value to that person.
yeah.
That's probably very different from
100%. I think
some.
it's so true with people that they don't care what you know or what you can do, as long as they know that you can care. So first of all they need to know that you can care, and after that, then they'll have your full attention and they'll have your full trust.
Yeah. And you mentioned there around self-consciousness and self-worth a lot. And I guess that self-esteem side then leads into how confident people can be, particularly females.
Mm,
And like the support I have around mental health, it just, I love working for Shout as a volunteer. And how have you found that's changed maybe the last 9 months? Because it's something that really interests me about how people have found their mental health through COVID and going forward in terms of how they outlook on life, their business. Have
mm.
you seen a shift at all?
In people's mental health through COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think with COVID, it's an interesting one because obviously there's been a lot of negatives about it, and there's been, and it's been a very, very hard time for a lot of people. But I think I've always tried, and especially with my clients, and they would kind of sing from the same hymn sheet. There's been so many positives that have come out of lockdown and COVID and stuff like that. People connecting with people that they never would have before. Even things like Zoom calls where people have never even heard about before, and you're connecting with people that you haven't before, and you know people that are kind of on the same wavelength as you. And a lot of the people on my program, a lot of the mums, like, their mental health has never been better because
Mm.
they've had the time to do something for themselves, go out for their walks, and you know interact with people, with a community of people that are the same as them. And I think there's been a lot of positives to come out of it, that a lot of people don't recognize. And I think that's one thing, that if you're going to find some sort of happiness in your life, you have to be grateful for the situation that you're in now. You have to be able, even if you're having the worst week ever, you have to be able to look around and say, okay, what's great in my life right now? What can I feel excited about? What should I be grateful for? And I think instead of worrying about what you can do next or what you can get next, in, and just being present in the moment, that
Yeah.
that can be a really, really strong, a strong tool to have in your toolbox.
Yeah. It's a wonderful perspective you have, honestly. And it's
Hmm.
really refreshing to hear as well in somebody. I love it. What is probably the biggest struggle for you at the moment in business, or obstacle that you're trying to get through?
I think at the moment, that's a tough question. I think it can be difficult to know what's my next move in regards to progress.
Mm.
Right now, I'm very lucky because obviously my business is going really well right now. I have coaches on board that are great. I have clients that I love. That's great. My systems are in place. Now, obviously, it wasn't always like that for most of the time. I didn't know what I was doing. I was stressed. I was anxious. I was, trying to do everything at once, and not doing anything right. But eventually, after kind of 9 months of really grafting on the program, I'm really quite happy with it at the moment. And because I'm really happy with it at the moment, I'm like, oh shit, where do I go from here? And that can play on my mind a lot as well, because I think we're always looking to progress. And I think if you're not growing, you're going to be unhappy, and that's just the way it is. I know you should be grateful for what you've done and always look to the past and what you've achieved, but I think if we're not growing, we do get quite annoyed with ourselves. We do get quite disheartened. So at the moment for me, it's how do I take this program to the next level without taking away from the program, or without taking away from what the clients have at the moment. So I think looking for the next stage of progress is always a difficult one, especially when you're content with what you have right now.
Yeah, yeah, really. And again, like you say, it's being that moment of appreciating what you have yourself, and challenging yourself to think bigger and dream bigger and get some, audacious goals out there and really push your business as well.
Yeah.
In terms of fulfillment about you, like the value in your life as well is really important.
Yeah. And it's so funny because I mean, I'm always getting upset with myself because I'm not progressing as fast as I should be. And then I'll turn around to my clients and say, relax, you're doing great. Look at how far you've come. I mean, you look at 10 months ago, you were, 10 pounds, you're 10 kg heavier. Look where you are now. And they're like, oh, I didn't do well this week. I didn't do well this week. And I'm trying to tell them, you're doing amazing. And then I don't take my own advice and look back on what I've accomplished in the last 10 months. So,
that's absolutely so true. I was talking to a mentor yesterday and just saying, one of my biggest struggles is that I have so many great ideas and I don't get overwhelmed. I just get like, oh, but I can't do that yet. I need to do this and I want to do this, but I want to do it to this level and I want to get this and I want to speak with this person. And then I'm like, oh my goodness, where do I go first? So
yeah.
That, and it's with energy and it's positivity, but it doesn't help me focus on actually really moving forward at this moment in time. And actually, I often get told to slow down, to speed up.
Yeah.
Really
so true.
Focus on that one thing, or what are you're going to do a program. What are the 3 pillars? What are the 3 things you're focusing on?
Yeah.
And I need.
Yeah, you can take that with fitness as well. It's because I was only talking to one of my clients yesterday, and they were trying to do like 5-6 workouts a week, and I was like, sometimes do less to do more. You have to rest to actually progress, and of course it's the exact same in business. It's sometimes just do less, focus on that one thing, but do it right and progress, because you're kind of always looking at the shiny thing. Oh, I want to do this now. I want to do this now. I want to do this now.
And I guess what's been the needle for that for me is like earlier, the networking of people around me, and having great mentors, having great coaches is absolutely key. And one thing I've changed, actually, I've had a coach for like the last nearly 2 years it would be, but I've stopped working with someone just at this moment because I just need to implement. I've got so much in my mind and so many great ideas, systems. I just need to slow down, like I said there, essentially. And what that looks like for me is just taking a little bit of time out and applying that and implementing it.
Yeah, I think
and seeing where I go from there.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and I think that's the thing where it's so great to have mentors and people above you all the time to progress you forward. But it's that thing where you want to have someone above you, someone on the same level as you, and someone beneath you, because it can be quite overwhelming to be always looking to progress, and then you kind of have too many things that you're focused on. Whereas then if you kind of have someone on your level as well, you can say, okay, I'm just going to implement what I know at this point. And then you'll have someone kind of under you who you can, teach what you've learned, and that only helps you to kind of learn more as well. So yeah, it can be quite overwhelming to be always looking ahead of you and not just implementing what you've actually learned now, and giving yourself the time to implement what you've learned. And I think that's something that I've had to kind of learn as well, and that's why I'm quite content at the moment, where I don't know where to go with my program at the moment, but that's okay, because I've been kind of progressing for so long now. It's just about maintaining the shift at this point, and it's that mental rest that you need as well.
Yeah, I hear that. I love it. I have a few kind of fiery questions that I ask people near the end, and I'm always conscious of people's time. So, time management I love, because I think it's really again that shows value of somebody.
Yeah.
Respect. So, few I've got. So, what does success mean to you?
Success means to me, well, one thing that I always like to say to people, and something that I listened to from Tony Robbins, was like, the biggest failure in life is to succeed and not to be happy or content. So
Yeah.
going going after something that you define as success from society is possibly the worst thing that you can do in life. So I think success can be measured in many different ways by many different people, but I think at the end of the day, it's about your core values and understanding that if it makes you happy to be a fisherman, be a fisherman. If it makes you happy to be a librarian, be a librarian. Don't let society decide what success is, and
Yeah.
understand what makes you tick, and what drives you kind of out of the bed every day and puts a fire in your belly. And I think by figuring out what you want to do with the time you have on this planet, that's success.
Yeah.
By choosing something that makes you tick every day, that gets you out of bed, that puts a fire in your belly. And for a long time, I didn't have that. And now that I do have it, I wake up every day and feel successful. I don't need to have yachts or mansions or, the fancy car, anything like that, because I can be pretty sure that I'm happier than a lot of people that have them kind of things. So success for me is just being able to wake up every day and be passionate about what you do.
Absolutely beautiful. Love it. What would you tell your younger self?
That the people that you're trying to impress, you don't need to impress. And I think that was something that I struggled with a lot as a kid. I was always trying to feel feel that I belonged in a group that I didn't belong. And I think even as adults, a lot of us do this. We're always trying to show off to people that we don't even care about by,
Yeah.
having a, designer bag or a, fancy watch or, the best car, and showing off in front of people that we don't actually care about. So I would probably tell my younger self that the people that you're trying to impress now aren't worth kind of impressing, and just kind of focus on yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Really important. Really important. What do you want to be known for?
I want to be known for being kind, because that would be at my core value, that that I got from my mother. My mother was always known for being kind, even from all the people that hung around with her, or knew her. She was always known as being kind. And for a long time when I was younger, I tried to push myself away from that. I tried to kind of be a little bit nasty, and that was kind of defense mechanism, I think, because I was insecure. But now I think for me, it's about being kind to people, and being caring, and just providing impact, a positive impact in people's life.
Mm, mm, yeah. And what would be the kind of maybe a few bits or one piece of advice that you would give somebody that's wanting to start their own business, whether that's in the fitness space or anything? I guess going
Yeah.
back to the why is important, like you said.
If I was to give, in fact, someone, I was on my socials the other day, and a guy a few years younger than me, he wrote that he's struggling with business at the moment. And then I reached out to him and I said, what's going on? And my first piece of advice for him was, if you're struggling with business at the moment, get a business mentor. It's gonna make your journey so much easier, and you're gonna literally cut a few chapters, and a few kind of pains and miseries. The best thing I did was get a mentor, and I think that goes for anything. If you're struggling with business, get a business mentor. If you're struggling with your weight, get a personal trainer. If you're studying with your exams, get a tutor. Ask people for help, because people want to help you, and it's just going to make your journey so much easier. Um, learn from other people's mistakes. That's what smart people do.
Yeah, and I think you very much have to get yourself out of your comfort zone and enjoy
Mm,
that. Love
yeah,
that feeling that you are in that stretch zone and people are challenging you. Be open to criticism, be open to
yeah,
feedback, be open to taking a risk and it not paying off.
yeah. That's where growth happens, though. That's
Yeah.
that's exactly where growth happens.
And everybody sometimes, I've got one friend and he's amazing, but he wants everything to he thinks about the risk. And I'm like, but just go for it, because
Yeah,
if it pays for itself, you haven't lost anything. You've just gained more experience and knowledge, and you've given it a go. And it may be that one thing that suddenly absolutely takes off and accelerates and leverages everything for you in life
yeah.
and business. So you just have to get out there and give it a go. And like I say sometimes, and I say it quite a lot at the moment with people, is just trust yourself with it. Go with your
Mm,
gut sometimes and give it a go, because
Mm.
it's better than doing nothing. It's like failure, that if we didn't feel failure, we wouldn't have put ourselves out there and tried something new.
Yeah, 100%. I think as humans, we're primed to worry about what's going to go wrong. But I think if you can change your mindset to what if it goes right, you'll take a lot more risk, and risk is where the reward is.
Yeah, absolutely. What are you most grateful for in life?
Right now, it would have to be my work, hands down. To be able to kind of get up every day and to be excited to get up and to check in with clients and feel like that I'm making a difference. It's definitely what I'm most grateful for. And I've been practicing that gratitude kind of every day at the moment as well. Like, I look at a lot of my friends, and a lot of my friends have great jobs, really kind of, you know, standard high title jobs like solicitors and all this kind of stuff. But for me, I would think about that and I think, Jesus, I would absolutely hate that job. I'm so grateful for what I'm doing now. So yeah, after going through a lot of jobs that I really didn't like, to finally to not settle and to finally find something that I'm kind of passionate about. Um, Through a lot of kind of pain, I finally got there, and so now I'm kind of grateful for it every day, I'd say.
I think that's amazing, and I'm absolutely huge in gratitude as well. And I don't think it's something you can just do overnight.
No,
You have to create that, like you say, it's that mindset switch of the way you choose to see things in the world and being grateful for everything that you have.
yeah,
Changes everything. I'm not materialistic in the same way. I like nice things, but I work for them. But you do have that massive shift in, again, going back to what does success and happiness really mean for you.
mm,
And a big part of that is being grateful for waking up every day and appreciating what I have.
yeah, and 100%, it is something that you need to practice time and time again, and it is a conscious effort to do so, but it makes such a difference and such an impact in your life. And you're like anything else, you only get better at it over time.
I'm really happy that you've been on. It's amazing to talk to you. Your energy just flows with me and gets me going. I love doing my call with you the other week and being on as a guest for your guys as well. So thank you for that. And I think it proves again this connection that we have. We worked together in
Mm,
kind of coaching and mentoring capacity, last year or so. And I would say as an outsider, it's easy to say as somebody looking in, but the success and the way you've grown as a person and your business is so positive and so inspiring, and I love to see that in people. That's the bit that gives me value, is to think, wow, like that person has really shifted everything. And yeah, I love that. So
and it was an absolute pleasure to come on. That time has absolutely flown, and having you on the other night, and talking to our members, and it was just, when you kind of find people on the same journey as you and has the same kind of values and going the same way in life, it just kind of lifts you up to know that you're not alone, and there is people like you that want more from life. And I think it's really important to go and find them people, and that's why social media is such a great thing, that you can seek out these kind of people that
yeah,
only help you to grow.
the key, that line out there, cheesy or not, your network is your network, is
Mm.
absolutely spot on there. I really value as well you sharing about your why and your mum. So thank you for that, because it's a real strength for you in doing that. And I think it's important that you do that part, because that will connect others. And again, I know, especially with leadership as well, that you have to be, and everybody in business is a leader. Business is about relationships for me. You
Yeah.
have to be that person that takes the lead and has that visibility, because so often it goes back again to, like we say, self-worth and confidence, that people naturally aren't that way inclined, and they'll look
Mm.
to other people the same as we'll look to people like, I look to the Gary V's and Jay Shetty's and everybody, Lewis Howes, and think, those
Mm.
people that really inspire me and drive me every day, whether people think that's right or wrong, because they're so well known, but they do.
Mm.
And you become that as well for your clients, that your moment of where you are, and that will
Yeah.
only grow. So huge thank you for doing that. Share with us where they can find you with School of Fitness, because it is phenomenal and it's great program that you've got going.
Yeah, so I'm very much an Instagrammer, so most of my work will be on Instagram. I am on Facebook and all them other socials as well. But you're best off going onto IG and just type in School of Fitness, and you'll find me there ranting on and annoying people.
Absolutely, and I'm laughing now because I know there's a few key people I have within that I've worked with the last year or so, and their humour and their social media is very funny and engaging. It's one of those where it's like if you're having a bit of a rubbish day, it's like if I just go on School of Fitness, something will probably make me laugh today.
Yeah, it's just me making memes about myself. That's all.
Oh, it's absolutely amazing.
Thank you so much for listening to my podcast today. I hope that you took some real nuggets and value there. And a huge thank you again to Karl, because absolute pleasure to have you on. So I highly recommend you check out my previous podcast. I had Courtney Jerome on, sharing all about his story. And as I've said before, such an amazing guy, and done so much on his own self-development, self-awareness, empathy, everything. So go and check that out. Highly recommend that. And I'll put a little link in this episode as I usually do. But please connect with me on all of my social media. I'm at nataliepotscoaching.co.uk. Lots of links on there, lots of support in terms of ideas for social media, success mindset, getting involved with our newsletter every Friday. So check that out and reach out, share how you thought this episode was, what was great, what was not so great maybe, anything that you'd like from me particularly, and let me know your goals. I'm really working with people at the moment on getting goals set for 2021. So if there is something I can do to help you get smart on your goal, reach out and let me know. Aside from that, have a great day and a great week.